spreading the news.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with the rejection. Puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron and Rhea, brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, your number one place for all your ticket needs. Use promo code OTBBall for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. We got a good one for you guys today. We're going to be talking about all things Chicago Bulls with my guy, Morris. Morris, brother, what's going on, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to get on the pod. It's been a while since I actually talked specifically Bulls, so I'm excited to share my thoughts, my rants, whatever. I have many things about the Bulls.
There's a lot to go with the Chicago Bulls, and it's, I've, being a Knicks fan, I know what it feels that like when you have like a rabid base and there's not a lot of W's happening, so we'll get into that. With the Chicago Bulls, obviously it wasn't a great season for the Chicago Bulls, right? They did make the play-in. There were some good things to look forward to, but overall disappointing and, going into the play-in and not advancing to the playoffs. So overall, what's just the feeling right now around Bulls Nation? Like, what are you feeling when you talk to people about the Bulls? Like, what is their state of mind right now?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think if you're an outsider to the Chicago Bulls, it might be a bit odd, but like inside Bulls Nation, I think it's really been, it's kind of like two lanes of Bulls fandom right now. I think there's Bulls fans who are more than willing to embrace different levels of optimism about the franchise, whether it be because of Morris Buzelis, the offseason trade from the 2024 offseason that brought in Josh Giddey, this general mantra that the front office sort of likes to promote of, we've become a younger team. People are optimistic about those sort of things. And then I think there's also another lane of Bulls fans where, they're just looking honestly at the end result. And I probably am more on the end result side of it, where it's like, we've had a new front office regime now going into their sixth season. We've only had one playoff series. We've only had one playoff win. It's just constantly living in this play-in thing. And it's like, I don't see what this is accomplishing. I'm probably more like nihilistic or like pessimistic or whatever, where it's just like, I just feel like we're spinning our wheels.
Yeah. And that's probably the frustrating part, right, of everything is you kind of feel like, it's play in or being an 8 seed, it feels like that's always, always the way. And it's like, okay, like, how do we get out of this way? We don't want to, no, like, it's cool, like, especially when you've struggled, and it's cool. And like I said, I'm a Knicks fan, so I know how this feels. Like, we didn't make the playoffs for so many years, or we 60 lost seasons, and it's like, okay, we make the playoffs, then we go advance another round, and we advance another round. It's like, and then you have people say, well, you should be happy. I was like, yeah, we are. It's better than it was 5 years ago, but there's levels to it. Like, you don't want to just be cool with just, we made the playoffs, we made it to the conference finals. We want to. The end goal is to like every fan base, they want to see a championship. It's like, well, how do we get there? Like, it's cool that we're here and it looks like we're improving, but how do we get to that next step?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, improvement would be the starting point for Bulls fans, because it's been this, it's like specifically like the last 3 seasons of this like current regime, front office regime, it's been this mid-lane sort of like 40-ish win team playing for the 9-10 game. It's like, and they've changed did some modest changes to the roster, but it's still like the same thing. And even like after you trade DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, this is still what you are. I think like at least I'll just speak specifically for myself as a Bulls fan. That's a frustrating thing. It's like it just seems like no matter what the Bulls are doing, like they're just heading to the exact same destination every single season right now.
Yeah. So like I said, that's it's kind of like it's being in purgatory, because you know how they say like you don't want to be, you either want to be at the top or you want to be at the bottom. You never want to be in the middle, because it's just like you're stuck because you don't know what direction to go to, so that seems to. But obviously, you mentioned the trade for Josh Giddey and how he ended the season playing. I mean, he played lights out hoop. And then I always refer back to that game against the Lakers. Like that felt like a playoff game.
Yeah.
Like that game where the buzzer beater and the comeback, and like that felt like, okay, it's like this is what we want. We want this. And like obviously, the Caruso, and obviously OKC wins a championship and that's all great. But with Giddey, like I always liked him. I always felt like he was kind of, he didn't fit what OKC was doing. Obviously, the Shea's emergence is going to, you're not going to have the ball as much as you really want, and he's his off ball stuff is solid, but he's more of an on ball player. So, what did you feel about when you heard about the trade for Giddey? Were you on were you one of those people that were like, okay, like I think there's more to his game than what we saw, or were you on the other side of it? Like, what was your thoughts when you first heard about the Giddey trade?
Yeah, to be completely honest, like I was very skeptical about what to expect from Giddey, but that wasn't the immediate reaction. The immediate reaction was pretty much like white hot rage at the front office for trading Alex Caruso straight for Josh Giddey. When Alex Caruso, like there have been a lot of debates over this past season, specifically within Bulls fandom about like, who is Alex Caruso? What is he worth? And it's kind of a litmus test, honestly, for like how people choose to digest basketball, in my opinion, because if you are the kind of person where it's like your whole worldview about NBA basketball is like, what do you see in the box score? You will probably quickly dismiss Alex Caruso and you just think of him as like a role player. I'm not that kind of person who thinks that way, because like I value defense, and I to me, Alex Caruso is a top 15 NBA defender, and to trade Alex Caruso straight up with no draft capital return for a, young player, but player also who like very visibly struggled in the NBA playoffs around a really solid roster. Like there was leverage to be had there to at least make it, I think, a more equitable trade. I'm kind of beyond the trade, but I'm just like, at the moment, I was like really mad at what the Bulls did, because I thought I just thought they did a bad deal. And regardless of how Josh Giddey's career will pan out, I still feel that way. I'm going to feel that way forever. Like that was just a fundamentally bad negotiation and a bad, like tunnel vision deal, where it's like, even if you like Josh Giddey, get something that like sweeten the deal, right? Because things go wrong or go sideways all the time in the NBA. And they've unfortunately gone sideways for this front office regime, where like, like rewind like 3 seasons ahead backwards, right? They go and get Lonzo Ball to the extent where they literally tampered for him. And then what happens? You get 35 games of brilliant basketball, but then Lonzo Ball's not there for like 2.5 seasons, 3 seasons, and they had no plan B. Like you just can't do these head first into sliding in the second base thing, and you don't have a backup plan. And that's like really my biggest concern with Giddey right now, more than his play, because the reports, and I'm sure we'll talk more about the whole RFA experience right now with him. Like there's a possibility perhaps where it's like, if it really gets acrimonious between the Bulls and Giddey, like you may lose Giddey for nothing. It's quite possible, right? So it's just, I wasn't a fan of the deal. I think throughout the season I grew to appreciate some of the positives of Giddey. I think what I found where like really I don't view him as a point guard, to be perfectly blunt. Like I think he's more effective as like a secondary ball handler. And what I like about him, if he like really continues to hone in on this and focus on this, I think he can grow and develop into like a very like formidable downhill threat. where, and he started showing that in sort of that last late season run he had, where it's like when he became more willing to instead be on ball, move the ball, but then like get himself going to the rim, he becomes I think much more of an advantage creator than anything he'll ever do jump shooting. Even if he does become like an average, like sustained 3-point shooter, I like the possibilities more of him like attacking the rim, coming off like curling off a screen or something, like just getting downhill, because dude's 6'8", and I mean he's working on getting stronger, and like those are things where it's like that helps him get to the rim, that helps the whole team just like have more possibilities offensively versus him continuing like just be like primarily on ball, because I don't think defenses are going to respect that for a full 82-game season.
No, yeah, and that's the stuff that we've seen him progressively get better, is just getting to his spots. Because and you've seen it like because you see a lot of comps, like Igor Denham gets a lot of Giddey comps, and I'm like, the one thing that he needs to work on is being able to get strong enough to get to his spots, and it seems like Giddey has definitely got better, especially that second half of the season. Like he really looked like a different player. Like felt like he was averaging a triple double, so, and like I said, like you mentioned before, he's a restricted free agent, and restricted free agency is, Morris, it's nasty right now. You don't want to be a restricted.
It is.
It's probably the worst year, probably in a long, maybe ever, to be a restricted free agent. As we've seen, Cam Thomas is not, he's not getting any, he's getting numbers that, nowhere near what he probably thought, So what's your take on the restricted free agent process for Josh Giddey right now? Should they extend him, or, what's going on with that?
I think, well, let me do, like, I will do a quick plug for my platform, Narratives Per Possession. We do a weekly newsletter, and actually our weekly newsletter dropped this morning. It actually is delving into just contextualizing the entire restricted free agency market right now. And certainly Giddey's, prominent player kind of like in the snare of that. I think it's nothing short of like a market correction, basically, or like even like more bleak is a market recession for any player that thought they were going to go get their bag in restricted free agency. The money is just not there, and there's an obvious reason of it being that there are no cap space teams, and like there's nominally a cap space team in the Brooklyn Nets and Utah Jazz, but from what I can tell and what most people can tell, they've already made their decisions about what they're doing with the offseason. I actually thought the Nets, like people like just assumed the Nets were going to deal all those first round picks. I just kind of had a feeling, I had a gut feeling like, oh, they might actually select all 5 of those dudes. And like, is it necessarily a bad thing to go into the season, given where they are? They're clearly like rebuilding. They're prioritizing development. Why not just stack up 5 rookie scale contracts and just go with that, right? Like
that regime might not be there next year to see, whatever happens for next season. So it's like, you know what? Let's just go. Let's hope that maybe 1 or 2 of these guys pop and we can keep our jobs, or else we're not going to be here. So why do we care?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that was red. That was a very prominent red flag for like any restricted free agents. And ironically, Cam Thomas probably should have saw that as kind of like the signal, like, oh, this negotiation isn't going to go the way I want. So I don't think the money is just not there in that restricted free agency market. And then one of the things I touched on in the newsletter is that where the big money for Josh Giddey's draft class, where it went, it really is guys that were extended with their original team. And that's sort of, I really think Josh Giddey between Josh Giddey and his representation, depending on how that deal goes with the Bulls, they may be looking at themselves and like retrospectively looking at like, maybe we shouldn't. And it was reported like, Giddey had more or less asked for a trade request when Sam Presti told him like, hey, for the 24-25 season, we're going to bring you off the bench, man. And it's a tough thing. I can see it from Giddey's perspective, but also I think you look at a benchmark where like Jalen Green, he got extended by the Houston Rockets, right? And he got a $35 million per year contract, but like wasn't necessarily like the most featured guy. And it seemed like he at least had like between him and his representation, Jalen Green had at least a good enough rapport with the front office to where he just got the money at least. And it was a tradable enough deal where like, boom, like, had bad playoff, but he's going to go figure it out in Phoenix now. Like maybe that should have been the play more for Giddey than trying to like force his way out, because he's in between a rock and a hard place as far as like this restricted free agency. The reports have been that, even actually before restricted free agency, like at the beginning of training camp last season, the smoke already started coming out that Giddey's camp was looking for a $30 million a year deal, 5 year, like looking for something on par with Jalen Suggs. What I would how it contrasts that, right, is like Giddey has statistical production, but Jalen Suggs is a all league defender.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And again, the guys in this draft class that's up for restricted free agency, the ones who got extended and getting like those big multi-year deals, they're all the guys who ended up getting some level of a like NBA level award accolade. Like,
exactly.
All-stars, all-NBA, all defense. And it's Cade, it's Suggs, trying to think who else, the other all-NBA guy. Cade, Suggs, Mobley, obviously Mobley, all-NBA, all-star, and defensive player of the year. Like, and Scotty Barnes, right? He was rookie year.
Too, right?
And he got all-star game out of it. Those are the guys that are getting the multi-year deals of like 30 plus. And then there's like there's like this middle class tier after that, where like on the high end is Franz Wagner and again Jalen Green. They got those deals, but the way I rationalize it, I think they have strong enough statistical production on some category where like they're getting that. And maybe that's the case that Giddey's camp is trying to make. Like, hey, look, I averaged a triple-double, but the problem is like that's nearly triple-double in only like 20 or 30 games of the season. You can do that for a whole season. You haven't demonstrated consistency yet to where you should command that number. And then plus, even with Jalen Green, he got his 35 a year, but it's a 3-year deal, right? Like nobody's going to give you these 5-year deals for 30 plus a year because of, again, cap space, CBA. These front offices are just being like very judicious about how they want to allocate the cap now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that second apron has teams operating completely different than what we saw just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like the landscape of the league, it's crazy how much it's really changed, and has teams really pressing. I see it with the Knicks, like we're really pressed, or we're a second apron, so it's like we gotta figure out how to, who's gonna be here, who to expend, when to extend, and especially when you're in a win now mode. Especially with the Knicks, like you really got to make sure you find the right pieces, because if you mess up, it could be real bad. So what do you think eventually happens with Giddey? Well, what do you think is the end result?
Yeah, I think there's really only two options, right? Because it's to me becoming abundantly clear that offer sheet is not coming Josh Giddey's way, and there has been reports to the effect of like no teams have inquired with Chicago Bulls about Josh Giddey, whereas you contrast at least Jonathan Kuminga, they're like Sacramento and then I think it might be the Suns, or like they're two teams like with offers on the table for Jonathan Kuminga. None of that's happened for Josh Giddey. And so his camp wants that $30 million. There's also been reports that Josh Giddey, the most that the Chicago Bulls are willing to offer is $20 million a year and potentially like 4 years. I think the way it needs to work out, I mean, if the Bulls aren't going to go up to $30 million number, which I frankly agree with. I just don't see a necessity for why the Bulls will even go to that number if there isn't a market there for it. Where the Bulls on their side, probably what they have to start becoming more open-minded about is that you're not going to get Josh Giddey on 4+ years at this point. Like you're going to have to come up with a number that like money number that you guys can both live with for the next 3 years. I think that's really the best win-win situation for this type of negotiation at this point. Or Josh Giddey plays on his $11 million qualifying offer. If I was Josh Giddey's agent, I would be like, look, man, we're not going to get this in this round. Like,
this is the best.
Let's get 3 years. And if it's $60 million for 3 years, we get the player option. Kind of like just ball out, dude. Like,
and you're still young where you could still, in those few years, you could still, what is he, 23, 24?
He's 22, going his 23 year. And I think there's a strong financial case for why he should do that, right? Like play on a 3 for $60 deal, because the way that this market is now structured for free agents, you're not getting that big money, man, unless you're going to go to an All-Star game or you're going to get All-NBA or somehow you improve to the point where it's like you're All-NBA defender. That's the path. Or it's like you really got to do like some crazy Jokic level leap in your statistics. It's got to be one of those. So it's like pick whichever one works for you, but like just get yourself in a position where you can really ball out and you can actually legitimately go push for like a legitimate max contract if you get one of these accolades.
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, what he did to end the season was good, but it was such a small sample size that it's like, okay, we appreciate that, but we need to see that throughout a full 82, and we need to see that consistency more. So if you do this again, and you're averaging damn near a triple-double, and you're an all-star, and you're doing, like you said, all the accolade stuff, then we'll buy in to you long term, you know. So, and but we got to see that, and because I think it's always tricky when guys are coming like on, on the contract years. You see this a lot in baseball, right? You see guys have good, years before they get the bag, and they get their bag, and then we see. So I think teams are just like, let's rock it out one more year, for another full year in the system. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what some of the new pieces we brought in, see Buzelis, year 2, Essengue, and we'll talk about the young guys in a bit, so let's just see it one more time, and then we could talk. And I think
I think Giddey and his representation, I think they just need to kind of come to grips with the market stacked against them for what goal they started the season off with. They wanted 5 years, 30 million. There's no market for it. You're not getting that. Just point blank. Nope. And I think like if you're open minded and you look at it from the standpoint like the way I laid it out again in our Narratives Possession weekly newsletter, like if you just look at it holistically as far as what the sort of different tiers of this free agency market is for the restricted level guys. There's an elite tier. Those are the All-NBA, All-Star kind of guys. There's like an upper middle class of, again, like Franz or Suggs, where it's like, I mean, not Suggs, but Jalen Green, where, and I'll caveat, like, Jalen Green isn't necessarily like across the board solid statistically, but the dude is a 20 a game scorer. I suppose like that's how he probably is able to get himself into that 35 number is like, most like scoring is still going to matter to a degree where like there's some upside opportunity. And I would suspect that's what the Phoenix Suns are going to bet on. And frankly, they don't have a lot of options anyway. So they need all the upside they can get.
Exactly. At this point, they're just trying to throw darts and see what what's going to hit because they messed up their whole. That's a whole nother show what the Suns are doing, man. They definitely messed up a lot of things over there.
Yeah, but I think like Giddey, I mean, he's solidly like in the middle class of his class, right? Because he has some solid offensive production for sure. There's no question about that. But he is a defensive liability still, and so it's like he has to shore himself up for a consistent full 82 game season to where he gets to the money he wants. At this point, I think he's gonna get something that certainly is not like Franz. I should say, I think the ideal number he should be getting is definitely not Franz Wagner or Jalen Green numbers, but something better than, frankly, what Cam Thomas or Quentin Grimes will get. Whereas, like, the Nets, they offer 2 for $14 million. But he's getting a 2-year MLE, in total. Like, but like, hey, I can understand that too because if you look at Cam Thomas's numbers, certainly not a consistent score. He's not. I mean, if I compare Jalen Green to Cam Thomas, you're going to get 20 a game from Jalen Green for the most part. Like, he didn't show it in the playoffs, obviously, but I'm sure regular season, like, he's going to find his way to get his numbers. And so that's probably like what Cam Thomas has to be able to demonstrate for the next, season or two, depending on how he decides to resolve his thing, is that, like, you just have to demonstrate that you're going to be consistent. I think that's what front offices want in this weird kind of like evolving, almost like NFL like salary cap environment we're in now.
Yeah, it's kind of like I had tweeted this out, like Cam Thomas getting treated like a wide receiver. He's like, we need him, but when we have to pay them, we don't want to pay them. You know how you've seen how many receivers are like, hey, they're good, and then when it's time to pay them, like, man,
we gotta go a different direction. But I mean,
You know, like
Damian Lillard was a cap casualty. Like, that's where we are now. It's crazy.
Morris, the NBA is so much different. Just from, like I mentioned, it's so much like we're getting $70 million guys getting waived and extended.
Yeah.
You know, or Brad's getting, you know, and like, and now you're learning more like, oh man, you can waive stretch over 5 years and add a year depending on the year that they had 2 years depending on, you know, how many years left on the. I was like, whoa, I'm like, it's just crazy, like the landscape, and like you said, a guy like Cam Thomas, like he could just say, oh, I average 25 a game, but then it's like, well, you don't do anything else. You're not efficient. You're not a playmaker. You don't play defense. Like, cool, yeah, man. That's the name of the game is scoring, but there's other aspects to it. And I think that's what Giddey's doing too. Is like, you know, Jalen Suggs get a lot of his guys in his class getting paid, but you know, at least they're super elite at least one thing. And where Josh is like, okay, if you're not going to be, if you're a piss poor defender, you know, you gotta at least be a 20. You better be James Harden-esque on offense. And he's not that. You know, that's the thing. He's a good playmaker, and there's times where he could take over with his passing and stuff. But if you're not going to be an elite level scorer, that's why we're kind of at this position where we're at now. Because if he was the scorer and the defense was there, he would have got his money. And the playmaking too, he would have probably got paid. But you know, you're not a good defender and you're not a James Harden level scorer. We're going to be in this predicament.
Yeah, 100%. And also the other thing about Josh Giddey too is like he has to clean up his turnovers. Like you can't be on ball and just be like a turnover magnet. Yeah. Where it's just like I get it on a degree where it's like he's willing to like be like aggressive in his passing, but like that stuff is going to get old. And like, you know, he could potentially be like a 25 game scorer if he wasn't turning the ball over so much. Like, or at least get like, yeah, he could average double digit assists. So it's like he's got, you know, to your point, there's got to be something that Josh Giddey is locking in and getting better in this offseason right now so that when he gets to October, starting with his first preseason game, like nobody's going to give him any grace or patience to wait till like, oh, look, Josh Giddey in February started balling. Like, no, it's like you want that money, you want to be that dude. Like it starts first game of preseason.
Mm-hmm. And you got to show the leadership too. You know, guys, you got to, especially if you're going to have the ball in your hand, you got to be the leader. And does he have those qualities? So there's especially when you're investing, these teams are investing $40-50 million, man. You need to have the whole package. Like it's just, and I think, like I said, this is also a horrible time to be a free agent. You know, it's crazy. I just listening? I forgot what pod I was listening to, and they were talking about like Brandon Ingram, and they talked about his agents. Like he read the room. He was like, we can't let him go to free agency because he ain't gonna get nothing. So we need to get him extended now, even if it's for a lesser number. Get him extended now, because if he goes to the market, he's going to not like what he gets offered. So like we might be in that place in basketball where we might see that happen. Like agents are gonna be straight up like, hey, you're not like, unless you are SGA, you are Joker, you are Giannis, you are at that level, you'll get your money no matter what.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, the tiers below that is going to be tough. Like it's going to be tough for those guys, those those level players who are good players, but not tier 1 or even tier 2s. Those guys are going to have trouble on the market.
The big money for NBA players is in the extension market now. It's not in the free agents market, even for the unrestricted free agents too. This is a point I made. In
unrestricted this year, really. You know, Turner got paid. You know, but I mean, it's not like
a modest, but I mean, in terms of like a top 15 NBA player moving into the free agent market, that doesn't happen. The last one was KD going to the Nets. Like that's the thing. Like, and it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it really has, because like when I look through all of the free agent transactions of the last, like I just started working backwards. Like I had to go all the way back to KD going to the Nets, like a big all NBA top tier player moving in free agency. And then for restricted free agency, like an all-star tier, there's only been 2 players that actually even been in a position where they went to the RFA period, where like they didn't get the extension done. And it's Brandon Ingram, coincidentally, and then Tyrese Maxey last offseason.
Yeah, it's Morris. It's a different time. It's a different, like I said, just think about it. You know, when we, you know, summer 16 with KD, You know, LeBron in 2010, like we used to get like we were tracking flights and this and like it's like the craziness of those free like we were really like where is he going? Like I remember with LeBron in 2010, like oh he's in New York, he went to
the whole
he
thing,
this restaurant, like oh god he's coming to New. Then it's like no he bought a cabana, and I was like that's the first time I heard of a cabana, in Miami. Then it's like it's just crazy, but now it's just like we're not going to get that. Like guys are going to get their extensions and then they'll axe out. That's the new wave of getting guys now. No one's going to pass up on getting $70 million per year. That SGA extension, nobody's passing up on that now. And why would I can't blame you. I can't blame someone for passing up $75 million.
Yeah, it used to be. I mean, what free agency used to be a seller's market, or no, I guess like in this scenario, like the players trying to get their money, so they're trying to buy. Like it's a seller's market now for free agent, where it's like the front offices have all the leverage and all the control. So they're just like I would say honestly, like not that I have a vested interest in NBA players or their agency representation, but I think any agent is telling like their client, oh, let's wait until wait until free agency, we'll go get it that way. To the point that you just point out, right? Because Brandon Ingram is a clutch guy also. So it's like, savvy agents, I would imagine, understand where the money is moving, where the money's at. And like that was super shrewd to get Ingram up to the Raptors, knowing that like the market wasn't going to pan out for how Brandon Ingram is perceived at this stage of his career, where it's like, mid-range scorer, where like those are unfortunately slurs for a lot of people.
It really is though, right? Mid-range scorer. Oh man, you ain't getting paid, bro. You ain't getting paid, bro. Like it's just not it. And you saw with DeRozan when he was here, like, and it's crazy because it's like there is a world of people who appreciate that, but the people that you need to know, the people that you want to appreciate it are the ones paying you, and they're not. They're like, nah, we don't need that.
Yeah, to be honest, I loved every second of DeMar playing for the Bulls because even though the end result of those seasons, they're still mid, unfortunately, frustrating. There is a skill in the craft that, like, if you watch enough DeMar DeRozan playing and you truly love basketball, I just don't see how you don't appreciate what he brings to the game, because it's beautiful basketball. And again, I mean, that's if you're open-minded about like what mid-range shooting is, what it can be. Certainly, it's floor spacing. We can talk about all that, but at the end of the day, like seeing DeMar just like effortlessly find his way to his spots, and it's a lot of it was just like wizardry watching him playing Bulls uniform. I mean, I don't think anybody expected him to have like an insurgent MVP run, but that first season was awesome.
I always say this: when you guys got Lonzo, you got DeMar, and you had that run right before Lonzo gets hurt, you guys were like a top. It looked like, okay, the Bulls. I was like, that was one of my teams. I was like, okay, the Bulls they got something here. Lonzo, I was a big Lonzo guy. I felt like this is the perfect fit for you guys. I wanted him in New York. That was the one I wanted. We wound up getting, I think, Evan Fournier. So we went a different direction. So, so I remember just saying, okay, the Bulls are got, and then you went off to a tremendous start playing good ball, and then Lonzo's knee it derailed everything. That kind of was that the moment where everything kind of just shifted for you guys?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. In retrospect, I mean, it was the death nail in the coffin, and it was only 35 games into the whole experiment.
Right. It was fun. 35.
It's a good experiment, and it's like I'll never discredit the front office for like their intent and that roster construction design they went with, because it had merit to it. I think where I have soured on Arturas Karnisovas and his whole front office regime is that it's become abundantly clear to me that they never had a plan after it. That was the only plan they had, and they really haven't demonstrated a plan since then.
That's a shame. That's a shame. Like you don't have. Listen, as a GM, I know GMs being hard, and you go in on your plan A, and plan A's work, and like you scrap, but you always need to have contingencies. Like you always need to have plan, because you just don't ever know. Like a guy could get hurt. Like that happens all the time. And then like you just can't be, have your ass out. You gotta
100%.
You know, you got to have plans B just in case. And when you don't have that, then it sets you back. And obviously you've seen it. Like it's been tough. And I always feel for you because you guys have obviously the Bulls, you know, we know what the Bulls, you know, the lore of being a Chicago Bull, that, you know, what happened in the 90s. You had a guy named Michael, I think. I don't know if he ever panned out, but I heard he was pretty good. You know, he cost my team a couple.
He seemed to like Madison Square Garden, I remember.
He liked it a little bit, I heard. I heard he loved being in New York. You know, did you ever hear about the rumor about him almost becoming a Knick?
I vaguely remember that.
There was a rumor. I obviously, you know, towards the end, you know, him and Jerry Krause were butting heads and
acrimonious, yeah.
And he wanted to get paid, and there was a rumor that he was very close to becoming a Knick. And I wish I never heard about that, because now it just division of him and Patrick Ewing, you know, but that was like a Cardinals thing. You don't do that. You don't leave your team, you rock with your team. But man, now I'm like, oh, what could have been him in New York, you know?
That would have been wild. Yeah.
That would have been wild, you know, for sure. But obviously, and this is where I was going for, you know, the fan base is rabid. You guys constant sellouts. It always feels like it's packed out there in Chicago. So, but the result, you haven't seen the results, but there feels like you got some good, solid young pieces, you know, up and come. Obviously, you know, drafted Buzelis last year, and he showed good signs. Oh, rookie, you know, he really showed, and he was someone that at one point was projected to be the #1 pick. Obviously, it was a weaker draft. So some people actually looked at it as like, okay, in a weak draft, why wasn't he #1? So you were trying to figure out why, but you know, G League stuff was weird. You know, obviously it's no longer a thing. The G League Ignite, it's no longer around. So, you know, weird situation with that. But obviously he shows some really good things. And then the drafting of Noah Essengue. I know he's known for the unfortunate
poster.
And that was a crazy visual though.
Wow.
But, I was like, and then you're like, wait, he actually balled out though? Because I didn't get to watch it.
That's what it was crazy about, because I watched the game, right? And it's like in real time, I didn't like, it was a poster. I'm like, oh, that's kind of nasty. That's messed up. But like, I didn't like, I think like most people, you didn't see the angle of it until after like they got that shot on the socials. Then you realize like, oh, this is horrible. This might be an all-time. This is bad. But he was hooping in the game. And like I didn't think of much about the poster until like I started seeing the picture like everybody else. And I'm like, oh, I just hope he's got a good like mindset about this, because the roasting is not about to stop anytime soon.
Yeah. And you know how social media is, but then you're like, oh, he actually really had a really good game.
He's having a good game.
And there's a lot of, you know, hype and potential with him, but let's go to Buzelis first.
Yeah,
you know, how did you feel about his rookie season? Because like I said, all rookie team did a lot of really good stuff. Obviously, going to go through the ups and downs of being a rookie. But how did you feel? And what's the temperature with him as far as with Bulls fans? How are they feeling about him and his potential?
Yeah, I think again, a lot of things in Bulls fandom, there's like a spectrum of things, and it's like I think at the very bare minimum, everybody's like high on Morris. Like everybody's excited about what Morris' second season is going to be. The Bulls have this habit also of just like constantly putting guys on the roster who are like either from Chicago or somewhere around Chicago or have Illinois connections. So there's some of that hometown love that Morris gets for sure from Bulls fans. Yeah, I think most people are pretty high, and it's like sort of a spectrum of like reasonably like optimistic to like, you know, probably some Bulls fans who think Morris is about to become like an all-NBA like all-timer within the next season or two. Like I'm like my whole thing about Morris, and I've been high on Morris since his first summer league last year. I watched all his summer league games last year, and the thing that automatically popped out to me from the very first time I watched Morris in any kind of NBA competition once he got to summer league was his defense pops. And that's what to me is that gives me hope. That gives me excitement and optimism about like Morris Buzelis long term, is that it's clear to me that he has defensive instincts, and that like I don't know if you can necessarily teach what he does defensively, especially like rotating out the weak side. His like to me, he's already the best rim protector on the roster. Like he became the best rim protector once he started like getting regular minutes from Billy Donovan. So I think that's an incredibly important foundation, because I think the thing that honestly frustrates me the most covering Bulls, being a Bulls fan, is like I just haven't seen a defensive identity from the Chicago Bulls, and supposedly like that's what the front office is now addressing by going to get Isaac Okoro, which cool, we'll see. Like if you're pegging your defense on Isaac Okoro, I think there's some broader problems to be discussed. But bringing it back to Miles, I think that like that's what I'm excited about more than anything is just like Miles continuing to grow and develop as a defender, because I think he should strive for himself. He should be striving for all NBA defense. Like I just think his abilities are that strong. He's been working on obviously like gaining physical strength, and I think that will help him. I suppose like my biggest hope is like I just don't want to see him bulking up. And like I remember like I casually tweeted this, and this turned into like this viral sort of like tweet storm kind of thing, where it's like I don't really want to see Miles bulking up and being like a 4. I think he should play primarily as a wing, because I just think he's too versatile and too skilled to just be like playing low block and and I think the Bulls recognize that to a degree, because in his summer league in Vegas this summer, you saw him getting a lot more on ball reps, which he probably won't get that once we get to regular season. I don't know if that's it looked like it was to me just like sound development reps for him. I don't know if anybody should be expecting him to be like a primary ball handler or initiator. I think he's good coming off screens. I think he's great downhill, and he's working on his 3 as well. So it's like what I aspire for, what I hope for with Miles is just becoming a very well-rounded, strong wing, NBA wing, and I think he has the potential to be like an elite sort of secondary playmaker.
Yeah. And there's really a lot to like about him. Like his game, the shooting, some of the shooting stuff was a concern, pre-draft, but he kind of, he shot, I think, over 36 from 3, something around that. So like he tightened up that. So, and like I said, you want to see some of that on ball stuff, like I said, he might not get a lot of those, but it's good to have that in your repertoire, especially if you want to be an all-star, see what you could do on ball. So there's a lot of intriguing things about him. And I'm surprised he even fell as far as he even went. That was still kind of shocking. But let's talk about this year's pick, Noah Essengue. He's another long, guy that, like I said, you mentioned before, the defense. You guys could score with the best of them, but you can give up
getting stops. Yeah, it's the bane of the Bulls' existence.
Like top 5 in offense, like scoring, and then like bottom tier in defense. It's kind of crazy. Those exciting games. But
it's like you like to feel more confident going to like the clutch time. Like, oh, this isn't going to be some topsy turvy random ball kind of thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Noah Essengue was the pick, and he's someone I liked a lot. So when you guys took him, I was like, okay. And I get, and maybe you're trying to see some of that identity of like, are we going to get some long, rangy wings? And, that's how we're going to get the defense to get that much better, because the offense is there. Just got to at least be a middle of the pack type of defense. So how did you feel about the pick of Noah Essengue? And same thing with Buzelis. Like, what's the temperature with Essengue and with the fan base?
I think, the fan base temperature on Essengue is, I think this a TBD on some of that, because like he's just had such an odd kind of introduction to Bulls fans because of like the poster thing, but then like his very first summer league game was not great at all. And I think any Bulls fan that's really like followed the team for like the last 5 or 6 seasons, they can quickly see that like Arturas Karnisovas specifically is running basketball ops. This is like his de facto type, man. Just like, people have their dating preferences. Like more often than not, Arturas Karnisovas is gone for these long, lanky wings who can't shoot. And supposedly they have a defensive reputation. Yeah.
And you love that, 6'8" wing with the 7-foot wingspan. I don't know if they can actually play, but they got the measurables.
Yeah. And it's like he likes going for these wings that can't shoot. And it's like it started really, the Bulls had Derrick Jones Jr. for like 2 seasons, And I think he became a much improved. To be fair to DJJ, like he became a better shooter after he left the Bulls. And so it's probably better than he did stick around. But like while he was with the Bulls, like defenses were just like clapping their hands and being grateful, like, oh yes, please, DJJ, take that 3-point instead of Zach LaVine. Yes, keep taking them. And so it's like, and then at one point, like he wasn't even in the rotation, but it's like him, the Bulls drafted Dalen Terry, who like I think he's making strides, but honestly, that would not have been my pick. I can say that confidently at this point. And I think Terry has the ability to find his way in the league and be like a serviceable rotational guy at some point. But I just don't see him necessarily being a player of impact or consequence for the Chicago Bulls. And then doubling down, they go and get Julian Phillips. Like they traded 2 second-round picks to select Julian Phillips, whereas like he's shown flashes, but again, it's like I've yet to see one of these AK wings really like materialize into like a fully formed basketball player yet. And I think that's already my apprehension and anxiety about Noah Essengue is that, yeah, like he's like I watched some film from him in his Euro League team. I can see some positives in him for sure. And I jot some notes down about it where it's like there's some good foundational things, but I think the biggest thing by far is like, does he have the ability to like physically function as an NBA player right now? I think like that's just and to me that's a kind of a wild question to have about your first round draft pick, lottery pick at that. Like I think it's one thing to go for upside, but also like this front office has just like really been enamored with constantly picking projects time and time again. Patrick Williams' project probably not ever going to like pan out to whatever like he was hoped to be. Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips. This one is oldie but Giddey for Bulls fans because it's such a wonky random thing at this point. But they select the front office selected this drafting stash guy, Marko Simonovic, this big who just never materialized. Like all these draft picks have just been these projects, and it's like to me the only hits you can reasonably assign to the Bulls front office at this point is Ayo Dosunmu, who I think to Ayo's credit is just like an adaptable, resilient guy. And he already had enough experience, playing Big Ten ball where it's like, it wasn't that much that Ayo really needed to work out in order to make himself a serviceable like NBA player. And then Modest, I think who is really more of a gift than anything because he fell. He could have easily been the number 1 pick. So I think the thing with Noah is like, I truly do not expect him to play any NBA minutes this season for 2 reasons. One, I don't think he's physically ready yet. Like he just does not have a physical build, whereas like you could put him even against like journeyman in like garbage time. Like he really has to work out. And he's only 18 to be fair to him as well. Like he's barely a high school age graduate. So he's got to work on that. I think a heavy dose of the G League is in his future, and he needs it. But even if he was a little bit more advanced, I just think there's also this MO of the front office and the head coaching combination between AK and Billy Donovan, where it's like they don't play rookies at all. Like I thought Miles should have been playing really from jump, like regular rotation minutes, but they kept like messing around with his minutes. They were sending him down to the G League, and it's just to me he had things that could have been useful contributions already at the beginning of last season, but that the Bulls elected to sort of like shove him to the back of the bench. And then some of that also I think was the front office's fault, just like being ineffective at getting off of Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, these vets in timely manner to where like you had minutes available from us up front. Like they had to showcase Zach to finally trade him.
Mm-hmm. So let's get to that next phase. Is this what your general feeling about the front office and the head coach? Obviously, Billy Donovan just got an extension, and some people are still wondering how he still has a job when he keeps being, mid. So what's your thoughts about this front office? Do you have the confidence that they can make the right decisions to put you in a position to be a legit playoff team, because this year, I mean, the East, East is kind of open, so if you're going to make the playoffs, this is the year to do it. but do you have the confidence in, like I said, in that combination with AK and Billy Donovan to get it done? Because, you know, like you said, a lot of draft picks that happen, like you said, a work in progress, you know, a lot of, you know, so you would think that philosophy should change, you know,
Yeah.
but well, just give me your overall feel, you know, about that combo of front office and head coach.
Um,
I got a
I,
feeling I think it is. So this is what I want to hear you say it.
no, but look, well, and like before I even get to the front office as the coach, I have to start with because I just tweeted this yesterday. I'm gonna I'll paraphrase this tweet I had yesterday in reaction to the Billy Donovan extension news. You know, as the saying goes, a fish rots from the head, and the head of the Chicago Bulls is Michael Reinsdorf. So it really starts with ownership. I don't think the ownership group of the Chicago Bulls is particularly interested in like competitive winning NBA basketball. I don't think they care about being in the playoffs aside from if they get like 1 to 2 games of gate revenue. Like they have no desire and motivation to have their franchise playing in deep into the playoffs. They just have like time and time again for like, yeah, I'm probably now being old jaded Bulls fan, but for the entire duration post Jordan, like, you know, they lucked into Derrick Rose and lucked into Tom Thibodeau being this thing. And then what happened, like acrimonious, like, tell me this too soon, but like, you know, Tibbs got into a conflict with the front office or whatever. And then they decide, oh, we don't need you anymore, Tibbs. We'll be just fine.
Is right like he owns the White Sox, right? Is that the same
also,
owner?
Yes.
Oh,
and thankfully,
yes.
Yeah. I can never be a
Are
White
you
Sox
a White Sox fan?
No, I'm a Cubs fan, thankfully, because like if I had to deal with Jerry Reinsdorf year round, you know, I might slip my wrist in a bathtub. Like it's bad.
I feel awful for that fan, like White Sox fans. I have to like your team they don't even try, right? I'm spoiled as a Yankees fan that my team tries every year at least. They may not get it right, but they try. I couldn't imagine seeing my team, you know, lose 130 games a year. Like
it's rough. It's to the point where it's like I don't even try to like poke fun at the White Sox fans because it's just like they're going through it. And I know what they're going through because I have to deal with it during basketball season.
That's nasty. So you say it starts from the
ownership. Ownership has no desire, no motivation to do anything to make this a competitive team. And like I went on a rant about this. I think one of the most shameful things that happened last season was there's all this grandstanding rhetoric that Arturas Karnisovas had about we're going to be competitive, we're not going to tank, we're going to keep trying to fight the win. But then when the Bulls had you know, once they get into the final 2-week stretch of like last season, they sat out the entire roster against the Cleveland Cavaliers on the road in Cleveland to optimize, like making sure they had that 9-10 game at the United Center. Like allegedly, I should say. Like that was the optics that they went with when the whole season about, oh, we're not going to tank. We don't care about Cooper Flag. We're going to try to win. But then, oh, let's sit all the starters at this point where it's like they actually had a legitimate shot at playing for the 7-8 game. Like, if you're trying to win, why are you not trying to win like every single night?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what I interpret that to be. But it didn't. It's really. So I say that because I think that's the necessary context before I start talking about Arturas Karnisovas, which no, I do not have any faith in him. I do not. Like I ridicule him at least. Like I'm down to about 2 or 3 times a week. It was like at some point like daily. I was going in on AK because I've seen enough. Yeah, no, I've developed quite a repertoire for like finding ways to just like just trash AK because I don't think he's effective at his job at all. And I think the thing that continues to burn me about him is just no track record of winning a deal yet. His narrow-minded view on talent, like he only cares about like 6'8" lanky wings that can't shoot. Like he hasn't prioritized a defensive player that also can score at the same time ever in his entire like tenure. He thinks defense is a specialist position, which is why he went and got Caruso and Lonzo, which to his credit, it worked out to a degree. But yeah, Lonzo goes away. Even as great as Alex Caruso was, like he by himself was not going to help this team play defense to the level where they can actually win a playoff series.
Yeah.
And so, now he goes and gets Isaac Okoro, and Isaac Okoro is going to fix his defense. Mark my words, like that's what his rate is going to be. He's going to be talking about, oh, we went and got Okoro, and we think our defense is going to be better. I doubt that, to be honest, because even Okoro gets some stops. Like, what is Okoro going to do when it's time to go get buckets? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, he brings zero offensively, Okoro. That's why he kind of got out of favor in Cleveland. You know, he's good, and it's not like he's an all-world defender. Like, he's a good defender, but he's not like he's Marcus Smart or even Caruso level defending. So, like, that trade, like, I was like, okay, like, I understand your thought process, but I don't know if it actually, if it's going to equate to what you want.
Yeah, and more than likely, you're gonna have a Okoro on the perimeter with Nikola Vucevic behind him. So, like, we know what's going to happen. Like, Okoro gets blown by. Like, that's 2 points right there.
Yeah. Vooch, big Vooch. That's another guy I want to mention is Big Vooch. Like, well, what do you think that in? Because it feels like he's been in trade rumors since he's got there. So, what's going to happen? I think this is his last year of his deal, right?
Last year of his deal. And actually, that's another thing. And, like, I like skewered AK for that. He completely fumbled Nikola Vucevic's trade. Purely, in my opinion, because at the beginning of the season, actually, so I wrote for give him a shout out, Bulls on Tap last season, and I wrote a column that really hypothesized like what would it take for Nikola Vucevic trade to even happen, because he was completely damaged goods. Like, nobody wanted Vooch before the beginning of last season, but he really balled out and he started playing himself to the point where, like, there were people who were like legitimately asking themselves, like, should Vooch be an all-star this season? Because he was just shooting the ball like lights out. And like that was the time to capitalize on him. The reports were supposedly AK won a first-round draft pick for Nikola Vucevic, which is just pure. That's stupidity. Nobody's giving up a first-round draft pick for a 34-year-old center who just finally got his groove back after like being completely unusable, like unplayable, like the previous season. Like, what kind of negotiator do you think you are? And it's like somehow. And yet, and still, somehow the Warriors kept coming back to the table to talk to the Bulls to try to get something done. Like, take the two second round picks for Vooch and keep it moving. Like, it's absolute, like, it's absolute failure. And it's a fireable offense that like Nikola Vucevic didn't get traded last year because the opportunity was there by all accounts of reports. Yeah,
that one, it felt like it was a guarantee he was going to get moved. Like, I'm like, okay, he's definitely going to get moved. Just a matter of who needs a center, a stretch big.
Yeah.
And just when they kept him, it was like, okay. And that's kind of what's felt like with the Bulls is just like, okay, what direction do you want to go to? Just seeing it from an outside, it's just like, okay, what direct you guys have, like you mentioned, it's being in a 38 to 42 win range. That's where you don't want to be. You're stuck in purgatory. Like, why do you keep going in that direction? It's like you keep hitting your head on the wall, and it's like, stop doing that. And I can imagine the frustration with that, but they just don't know what direction to go to. And that seems like, I'm sure you and plenty of other Bulls fans, that's your frustration is, where the hell are we going?
Yeah. And I mean, to touch on Billy for a bit too, I think it's just the worst possible combination because what I would say about Billy Donovan, good NBA head coach. I think most people would recognize that he probably was even more effective, as an NCAA coach, going back-to-back national champs with Florida. I mean, that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. And that's not to knock him that he doesn't deserve the Hall of Fame or anything, but I just to contextualize Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan is a bad coach by any stretch of imagination. And I mean, a head coach's job is to win games. So if you're looking just exclusively Billy Donovan, I think he's done what he's been hired to do, which is try to win as many games as possible. And I mean, they had that. They were like Billy and AK were saying that a lot last season. So it's the worst. And I say it's the worst combination because you have Billy who wants to win, and so he's doing things that, from a bigger picture organizational perspective, probably are not in the Bulls' best interest. Because what does winning games look like for Billy Donovan? It looks like, again, like Morris Buzelis didn't really play much of the first half of the NBA season because Billy Donovan wanted to win games. Guys like even going back earlier, like, the same kind of pattern was happening to Dalen Terry, all these different projects that for some reason AK wants to keep drafting. like weren't really getting burned in the main roster. Instead, like they had to go get their burn in the G League. And like, what has that really done for any of these players? So it's the worst combination of a coach who clearly knows what he wants to do with a front office executive that has no goals, no plans, no real motivation to do anything in a strategic way to where it's like he's progressing towards something. He's just trying to be all things to all everybody. Like if you listen to him give a press conference, it will almost always be like the most benign platitudes and meaningless stuff because he's never demonstrated action to follow through on the things he says. He says he wants to win, but like the Bulls are just going to be playing again. Like he wants to be competitive. He doesn't do anything to change the roster. He didn't make trades for 3 seasons. Like that's insane. He didn't do any roster moves for 3 straight seasons. Like he decided, let me run back DeMar, Zach, and Vooch, even though we just keep going to playing. Like no, like yeah, I could go on for like forever. For
I can see.
Like,
I'll just give you the floor. I'll just give you a single person take, and you just go on. Because it seems like you have a lot of frustrations with.
I'll do a jazz solo on why he sucks, respectfully. Like I'm sure he's a nice guy, but like running the Bulls, he's been ineffective, and he shouldn't have his job.
So do you think this is a do or die season? Like, can people get fired, or just from what you've seen that you're like, all right, they're still we're gonna have this duo here for longer than we even want?
A normal NBA ownership group would have all the seats. There would be a whole bed of Kingsford charcoal underneath those seats for the front office, for the head coach, for really everybody. Everybody should really be on a hot seat. But again, like that's why I had the caveat with Michael Reinsdorf up front, because Michael Reinsdorf, I don't think is a normal NBA owner, because he seems to be very tolerant, very comfortable with the most mediocre basketball product on the. Like I just think the Bulls are the most mediocre team in the NBA, bar none. Like in the most textbook sense, also because it's like they're always going to be 40 games, a playing game, and then just move on. Like it's just no real upside to be realized right now. I mean, there's some nominal upside, but I have no expectation other than to see this team win 40 games this upcoming season, and like maybe it's a gutsy first playing game win, only to then become like a catastrophic failure of a second playing game. That's all I've seen so far. So,
yeah, I mean, I know how it feels. Like I said, I'm a Knicks fan, so I know that feeling. And I think to me that the NBA is best when the Lakers are rocking, the Celtics are rocking, the Knicks are rocking, and the Bulls are rocking. And like I said, that I always go back to that game versus the Lakers.
Yeah.
As like a moment. It's like, okay, this is what can happen if the Bulls are back and they're rocking and everything's going. We saw with with D Rose, and I don't want to bring back those memories because I know it still hurts, the D Rose years, what could have been, but it showed, when the Bulls are rocking, it's best for the league. And, the attendance still shows you guys are still, people are going, they just want a direction. And so we'll see. But before, and I'm going to get with trivia, we're going to end this off with trivia, but
okay,
just what is Morris's feeling about the team heading into the 25-26 season? Like, what are we feeling as of right now? What is you have optimism? Are you more pessimistic? What's Morris's feeling right now for the 25-26 season?
Yeah, I think Arturas Karnisovas is destroyed any foreseeable optimism for me with the Chicago Bulls. I expect more of the same. 40-win team. 1 or 2 playing games. There'll be some moments that maybe get like some viral like tweets and maybe a couple of Sports Center highlights, but nothing of consequence. I mean, I don't expect this team challenging for a playoff series at all. And if they were, it would be probably squeezing into the 8th seed to get destroyed by whoever the first seed is.
It's great. I said that about Miami this year. Like, why did you make the playoffs? That makes you cost yourself a lottery pick that could have been the number 1 pick, and then you lose. Now you lose the pick, and then you got your ass kicked in the first round.
Yeah, that's definitely another team that like you could at least make the case that like all that like heat culture voodoo, it kind of did work a few times. Like to be able to get to the finals at 8 seed was crazy.
Yeah.
But it's also a testament to just how much of a madman Jimmy Butler is, and that's also another. Honestly, like I think I'm at peace with D Rose. The Jimmy thing is something I'm still not like over at all with the Bulls, because I would argue the Bulls have been in a rebuild since the Jimmy Butler trade that exists to this day, because that was a horrible trade itself, and it cost John Paxson his job. This is so bad of a trade.
I don't want to, I don't bring back bad memories for you. I know that there's a lot we could go through, So, all right, let's end it off with a little Bulls trivia. I got 3 questions for you. Let's see. Let's shoot. All right, first one. Who's the first Bulls to get their number retired?
You
can give me the number and the name if you could do the double.
I think the first one was Jerry Sloan.
Okay, we got Jerry Sloan. Yes. Do you have the number?
Sloan was. I'm probably gonna mess up the number because I always confuse them. Sloan was 4.
Bingo. All right.
Okay, what's your, like I had Bob Love on my mind too. I know it's Sloan, Love, and then obviously MJ and Pip.
This guy has a lot of these, but how many exactly does he have? How many scoring titles does Michael Jordan have?
Is it 11 scoring titles?
No, give you one more guess.
14 scoring titles.
Got 10.
10. All right.
10 scoring titles. All right, last one. Actually, no, I got 2 more. I'll give you 2 more. Who is the single season assist leader all time for the Bulls?
Ooh. Per game or total?
Total.
Is it Kirk Heinrich?
What is the record at this point? It's a throwback. It's a throwback. I'll give you that. It's a bit of a throwback. We're even going. Jordan wasn't even thought about.
Okay. Is it Jerry Sloan?
No, it's not Jerry Sloan.
Who else could it be?
This one's a tough one. It goes to in the 60s.
Chet Walker?
No. Give you one more.
Guess yeah, you go something. I'm just gonna say like what was it, Tom Bullwinkle?
Nah, Guy Rogers.
Okay. Learn something new. Okay.
At the time, 908 assists.
Okay.
Total. That was the record at the time. All right, last one. What is the lowest scoring game ever in Chicago Bulls history? This one's fairly-ish recent.
Yeah, this happened. I think it happened like within the last, 3 seasons? Because I probably watched it one live and I was mad.
This has happened in the last quarter century.
Oh, okay. Guess the lowest score they had.
Yeah, the lowest score they had. It's pretty bad too. It's pretty low.
I think wasn't it 55 points?
You're close.
50 points.
You're right on there.
45.
A little bit higher. You were there with 50. Let's go subtract 1.
49 points.
49.
Yeah.
It's the Miami Heat at 99, which that's nasty.
Yeah, that's perfect for that era.
That's the first year. That's the first year without.
That's prime. That's prime Tim Floyd. those years was something. And it's I'm starting to get to a point with Arturas where it's like, I don't know if I want to be too hot taking and say it's getting worse than Tim Floyd, but it's a different flavor, because Tim Floyd was just bad and you knew it was bad, but you were at least getting you're getting top lottery picks. Krause might just overplays handle some of those picks, but with this, it's the Bulls are just going nowhere, and we're not at least can we at least get a top 5 pick?
Mm-hmm. Was that the lowest point the years right after Jordan left? Like, was that
Oh
like
yeah, it was dark.
that was bad? Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, even though Elton Brand was good, like still it's like besides Elton Brand, I think I remember we had Khalid El Amin. We go back and get who we get bring back Scottie Pippen.
Oh right, I forgot.
The Jalen Rose years. Like there's just a lot of wild. Like we got Charles, Oak came back.
Yeah, put the greatest hits.
Yeah, it's like it was kind of like it was looking dark. And I mean, it's funny, like, John Paxson gets maligned a lot for kind of how his tenures running the Bulls ended. But I have come to a place where it's like I do try to make a point of saying, like, I think you at least have to give John Paxson credit as an executive for like what he did to clean up the Bulls and get them back to being relevant. Like that for those first 5 or 6 years, get it, up to the point where the Bulls drafted Derrick Rose. Like, he drafted well, I think, in that period of time.
Yeah, I don't want to bring back, like I said, more negative memories for you. We'll try to end I went on high.
No, they never leave. They're lost in my brain forever.
Morris, my guy, round of applause for you coming on the pod.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
coming on the show. A lot of fun talking about the Bulls, the good times, the bad times. Like I said, I know the feeling. I know the feeling. But before we sign off, man, like I said, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. It's going to do more of these, state of the franchises. We'll start off with the state of the Bulls. Where can the people find you? I know you're doing a lot of good stuff. That's why I wanted you on, because I know you're very knowledgeable of the game and wanted to really get into a deeper dive of these Chicago Bulls. So where can the people find you and any projects you got coming up? The floor is yours.
Absolutely, yeah. My main basketball platform now is Narratives Per Possession. I launched that as sort of like a multimedia basketball brand back in May. So we got a Patreon community. Please join the Patreon community. It's free. I'm not monetizing that. Just trying to build up the community. Actually, and if you're watching us right now on YouTube, please head over to Narratives Per Possession YouTube channel as well. Please subscribe to that.
I tagged that on the post. So if you want,
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
On the screen, you'll see.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. Yeah, so like primarily Patreon and YouTube with Narratives Per Possession, and also see it in my Cryon here. Yeah, Narratives Per 75 on X. Please follow that. My personal account, you can follow me at MoBanks10. That's MoBanks10, also on X. I know I've got some footprints on Instagram as well, but I'm lapsed on Instagram. I need to get back into that a bit more. And I'm pretty sure I have Blue Sky as well, but Blue Sky also feels quiet. Yeah.
I tried, but there's just too many. And I know X is, if people are down it, but you establish, your footprint on. It's hard to just go away from it. So it's like, all right, I'm on Blue Sky, but I'm like,
X is just crazy. Like, there's never gonna you can't the Coldplay thing. Like, once the Coldplay thing happened, like, man, people are never leaving X.
No, you can't. It's just an established brand, like regardless of who owns it, whatever, and just And then we get stuff like that. Like, you're not gonna get on Blue Sky. Like, Blue Sky wouldn't do that. Like,
no,
X will. They'll find you. Like, how many times if you go on an X and be like, yo, that someone's like, yo, can you find this person? I don't know, and then they find them. So it's it's
true.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But dude, you're doing good stuff, man. So
thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for having me on today, man.
For sure. Like I said, we'll definitely have you on. It's the first time. It won't be the last time. We will have my guy Morris on the pod. But you can follow me at Off the Ball Pod. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's been doing some good stuff. Some numbers lately, so let's keep going at it. The road to 700 followers, subs is we're halfway there. We're almost halfway there to 700, so let's get there. Make sure to subscribe. We're going to continue this. Like I said, definitely gonna have Morris back on, and talk more Bulls. Hopefully hopefully it's on a more positive note. You know, maybe his GM is no longer the GM, and you know, we're celebrating. You know, so but
That'd be my dream.
You know, he's gonna have a party when that happens. But I'll put all the descriptions, all the good stuff for Morris. You can follow them below. Like I said, make sure to follow Narratives Per Possession. You can see the @ handle on the in the title. So make sure to check that out. They do some good stuff. But on that note, everyone, be well, be safe, take care. Peace out, guys.
Start spreading the new.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.